All too often, we hear that Scandinavian countries represent a socialist utopia. They've got even higher taxes than what the UK currently endures, but better public services and life outcomes. This is the acceptable face of socialism. If we all were forced to pay a bit more tax and took regular saunas, then we'd be firmly ensconced in a socialist paradise in the UK too. But when you dig a little deeper, you see that, in many cases, Scandinavians enjoy more freedoms than what we experience here in the UK. They are, broadly, economic success stories, but they aren't socialist countries. Take two areas of policy which we typically associate with the state: education and healthcare. In these areas, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden show that it is not high taxes and state interference that has created this, but the converse. On education, Sweden serves as the exemplar of competition between schools and real choice for parents. The Swedes pioneered the increasingly popular free schools here in the UK in 1992. Parents and teachers have substantially more autonomy than state providers. The result? Over 90% of Swedish parents are content with their kids' education, substantially higher than those at state schools. Likewise, Denmark has a much greater proportion of their students in private schools and generally better results than here in the UK. And on healthcare, those in Nordic states can also look forward to accessing private provision and having real choice over the treatment that they receive. Currently, patients in Norway are able to choose where to undergo treatment for a number of specialist services. Primary care in Sweden is roughly 40% private and 60% public. And these countries have some of the best health outcomes in the world. So in these cases, it's clear that where the state rolls back, good results happen. It's also worth noting that these countries were economically successful before the advent of their large welfare programs. They also don't have minimum wage laws, and in numerous economic freedom assessments, they score highly. Clearly, if they really were socialist countries, the opposite would be true. Last year, Owen Jones suggested that the Labour Party's plans for a top income tax rate of 50% wasn't bold enough, and instead we should emulate the 60% that the Swedes pay. This is indeed true. Swedes have more of their income taken by their politicians. But wherever you live in Sweden, the majority of that tax is going to your local municipality, which in turn gives you substantially greater control over how it's spent, rather than being funneled to the centre, as Jones hopes for. Where the state is particularly pervasive, however, you do indeed get bad results. Stockholm, for instance, has rent controls. And what's the result? Almost 600,000 people, or about half the population of the city, are in the queue for a property. If you want to live in the very centre of town, that means a wait of over 20 years, and the housing queue grows by almost 10% a year. The building of new homes has dried up, and a thriving black market has emerged, with bribes of up to £8,500 a room being paid to ensure access to the property. This kind of statism clearly doesn't work, and it actively aids a failing system. Socialism means the government exerting control over businesses and expropriating them for some predefined common good. Largely, that just doesn't happen in Scandinavia. So the next time you hear someone suggest that socialism's perfectly harmless if we follow the Nordic model, ask them what they'd like to privatise first.